Welcome to the 13th episode of the BrownBoy Podcast. We've finally got a guest to return 13 episodes later. If you don't remember, he was the actual guy who came on the first podcast with me, and I'll put the link in the description. He needs no, introduction. Over to you, my friend.
I was actually thinking for a coming here, like which podcast was I on with you, and it was the first one. That's quite strange. Yeah, it's nice to have a platform to speak. To be honest, man, and like, you know, I was here last time, and we've tried to do this before. You know, like after that, but we just haven't had a chance. So it's good to be here, and yeah, I feel like the time's right now to share some things.
Well, it's about. I'd say it's almost. We recorded the first one back in September. I was just getting used to the whole thing, and you was my first guest. I think actually that is the most viewed podcast still to this day that I've had, which is my one of yours. So let's hope we can do that again. But yeah, how have you been? What have you been up to? Give us a little update since we last seen you. Obviously, it has been a long time, 6 months ago. So if the viewers remember, you were talking about when we last spoke to you, you were talking about Baha'i. You're talking about different things. But just give us an update where you're at now, and over to you.
Yeah, I feel like the last time I spoke with you guys, like, I was talking a lot about the Baha'i faith, but I was also like really open-minded of like my next path. Like I felt like I was going somewhere new. And I was definitely not being very orthodox about the Baha'i faith anyway, like not very. Since then, I've kind of drifted away from religion, man. Drifted away from religion and being...
You and me both.
Yeah. And just been following my heart, literally. Just been following my heart. But surprise, surprise, man. It's like I feel like I've been coming back to religion recently, you know? And especially with all this crisis happening right now. But life's more than just religion. And... I've been testing the waters and just been following my heart. And the heart is where God speaks to you. So, yeah.
So you said that you've come back to religion. We're going to start with that then. So give us a little information of what you're currently thinking about religion. Because, I mean, from the last time me and you spoke, I know what my views were. I was like, not really against it. I don't really care about it. But after we spoke today earlier on WhatsApp, it seems like your views slightly might have changed. So what are your views on religion currently? From the last time we spoke, I know that. Yeah, I'll leave it to you.
Like I've been basically just been having a calling to like look into Sufism, like Sufi Islam. Really recently, like I've just had certain flickers in my heart telling me to go down that path, man. And been reading about Rumi. You know, Rumi's quite known in the Western world, like. And I feel like his wisdom is very profound. And only today, like I've looked into Imam al-Ghazali. He was an Islamic philosopher, Islamic mystic. He was a master of many sciences, and just reading his works, really humbled me, because I've always assumed that religious people are very closed-minded and like philosophers are the most open-minded people. But actually, Imam al-Ghazali was very, very wise, and he had an extreme depth of knowledge, and reading that gives me hope, because I always, and this is gonna sound quite arrogant, but I need to talk about humility as well, but I always assume that I have like a good grasp of things, but when that gets shaken, I inspire to learn of those greater than me, you know. So I feel like there's a lot of people in the religious circles of Christianity, Islam, and dare I mention the Baha'i faith, that are quite in depth, have an in-depth knowledge of reality.
And do you think the knowledge that these religious people have can help them get through hard times like this? Because I was thinking this earlier when I went for a little walk, that especially during crisis like this, where you're really not sure where to turn, it does seem quite negative. Do you feel, especially times like this, religious people or religion can actually give a real sense of meaning?
Yeah, especially in this current crisis, like, you know, one view of this crisis is that it is from God. It's a God-given disaster, you know, and in a sense to heal humanity. Like, let's look at this crisis in one way. It's bringing families closer, because people are forced to stay at home. Some people have been working for the last 5 years non-stop and haven't even like spared a week for their family, you know.
Yeah.
And then also you've got countries in the third world that are suffering daily, like all the time. And in the first world, we never suffer. So we need to open our eyes. Look at the first sign of pandemic in this country. We're all scared of death. We're all scared, and I think it's weak. And true religious men are strong, and they're not scared of death. You know, I remember in my journey of religion and Islam that reading many quotes of you know of pious people that are just not afraid of death. In the midst of adversity, the Prophet Muhammad didn't go to war. You know, the Quran's full of passages of telling people to fight when you're under attack. You know,
Mm.
I don't want to go too far into that because terrorism and all that. But I mean, I support terrorism. I support strong men, and I support people following their hearts, doing the right thing, and being prepared to die for it. And yeah.
So what do you think about this whole pandemic then? And I'm going to speak about strong men after this because we spoke about this earlier, but let's hold that for a second. So this pandemic, and more specifically, I don't know if you just watched it was about an hour ago. We're recording this on Monday, the 23rd of March. An hour ago, the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, announced that there effectively is going to be a lockdown. You can only really go out of your house to exercise once a day, to get essential food supplies, to take people to work and to see the vulnerable. Other than that, if you do go out, you'll be asked to go back inside. If you don't comply, you'll obviously have a fine. Effectively, it's a lockdown. They're not saying it the same way that the European countries sort of said it. So what's your view on that? I mean, for me, if that was told to me 2-3 days ago, I'd be in hysterics. I'd be so angry. I'd be so upset. It feels different now.
Yeah, I mean, like our journey, yeah, me and you,
Mm-hmm.
we've gone through periods where we've been in isolation for a long time.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
like we've gone inwards and we've studied and we've like, we've spent hours inside reading and meditating and contemplating and, and a lot of people haven't done any of that. And so I feel like being in lockdown for 12 weeks, it's nothing, but like you're saying, like when I first heard about it, I was a bit like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Because I'm no longer that man that just contemplates and meditates and sits in
Yeah.
the room and just thinks. But yeah, I actually wanted, this is going off track because I just mumble, but
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to start this podcast with a quote from Thomas Aquinas. I don't even got it written down, but it was something about how it's better to it's better for it's better to share your contemplated truths than just to contemplate, And I think haven't quoted that correctly, but in the sense that if you're a man who contemplates, the world needs action. The world needs you to talk about it because contemplated truths are highly beneficial. Another quote I read today was about how society wouldn't function without men who didn't contemplate. So I believe that contemplation has a big, massive role in society. And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to get this off my chest because I feel like people don't understand people who, yeah, like I feel like I'm very misunderstood, and I spent the last 3-4 years contemplating. So it sounds crazy, but it is what
So
it
you say you're misunderstood. Like, would that be specifically from people that have sinned? Because I know you as an individual who really he wears your heart on his sleeve. So
is.
if those of you don't know my friend Yousef, he does wear his heart on his sleeve. He literally just follows his heart as much as he can. So you go through different changes. So do you think like a lot of people they judge you for that, like, and they misinterpret, almost see you as weird for that?
It's a good question. Yesterday I got a message off one of somebody, and he was saying about. I think I even screenshotted it to you. About how he was saying about how you're always changing your mind. You go into one idea, then you change suddenly. But I didn't get me being judged on that account. I felt a need of answers from him, and he was using me as a mirror. I feel a lot of people do look at me, and outwardly they would judge me and laugh or whatever, but inside there's a deep. I would say, they can see why I'm doing it, and
Mm.
they're after they're after what I'm after. They're after what I've learned from where I've been, and so I believe that but obviously as a whole, generally, if somebody asks me what do you do, like obviously you'll be misunderstood. But
Yeah.
as Emerson said, man, like you will be misunderstood if you follow your heart, and every great man is misunderstood. Not
Oh
that I'm a
yes.
great man, so.
Yeah, it's like James Allen. He says that to be misunderstood is actually not a problem. All the greats were misunderstood. You have Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha. They were all misunderstood, and really, to be misunderstood is not actually a problem. To be honest,
Mm,
going
mm,
back to the whole thing about strong men, because obviously my
mm.
podcast is also for men 18 to 25, even those aspiring to be stronger.
That's really nice.
How are we to build this community of strong individuals so that we are able to all help each other?
That's
How
really
are we?
interesting. like obviously, I actually haven't been on board with your vision of your podcast, but hearing you say about this is for young men aged 18 to 25, like really recently, like last 2 days, I've been thinking about like targeting a group of young men aged 18 to 25. So it's weird you say that. Wait, what was the question? Sorry.
I mean, how are we to build this community? Because I've heard other people talk about it. It's like, how are we to build this? I mean, we both know good few individuals who could form this community, but it's about being able to build it, but also sustain it.
I think like, yeah, it's I think where we're at the moment, because we're 25, yeah, we're quite young, and we don't have. I know I don't have like a firm understanding of truth or reality. So if I'm reaching out to other young men, I need to be humble in the sense of what they're bringing to the table, because I could be very strongly opinionated and say men should be strong, men should be virtuous, men should be religious, but everyone's on their own path, everyone's on their own journey, and if we're going to create a community of young men working together, then we all should approach it in the sense of humility, in the sense that we're going to work together and learn together. Because I think that's the key characteristic of we can both agree, I think you'd agree, that one key characteristic, if you want to become the strongest version of yourself or a strong man, is the willingness to learn, openness to learn. And that's something me and you share, right? And I think that's all truth seekers share is this humility and this willingness and openness to learn,
Yeah. I mean, what advice then would you give to your 18-year-old self now if you were to, in this mindset, looking to get them into a stronger individual? What advice would you give to you specifically, to your young 18-year-old self? Not to the 18-year-old self of me, because we used to always chill together back in the day as well. But yeah, what would you give advice to your young 18-year-old self, your former self?
Sounds cringy, but I've been following it for a long while, and it never lets me down. Is to follow your heart, and like I want to elaborate on that, because it sounds very cheesy, like to follow your heart, but I believe that God lives within the heart. The greatest Islamic saints, and they've all said the same thing. There was an Islamic saint, Bulleh Shah. He's very well known in Pakistan, and he had a quote saying like, "Destroy." He had a quote which said, "Destroy the temples, destroy the mosques, destroy everything, but do not destroy the human heart, because that's where God resides." And God lives within the heart, because we see it all in religious literature where it says God looks at the intentions,
Yeah.
and the heart is where intentions are magnified. When you follow your heart, I'm not talking about following I'm talking about like making the best decision you can with your mind, and then you just know that it's not a really well informed decision because you've tried your best. Then you consult the heart and be like, "This is all the information I have. Like, is this okay?" And you'll have a nudge of, you'll have a feeling that that is the only thing you can do, and that's the heart, and to just follow that feeling, man, because that will take you where you need to go. But I want to put a pointer on it. A lot of people don't follow their heart because it's just too damn unorthodox. It's too different. My heart's taken me on a journey that's just crazy, man. Quitting university. Loads of things.
Go on, carry on. Go and tell us what you've done. It'll be interesting for the viewers.
Quitting university, man. Staying at home, studying, like myself, studying religions and whatever I'm interested in, I'll just dive into and research it. And, I've just gone down a crazy path, but now I look at myself and I'm actually in an okay position. God's taking care of me, like financially, like health wise, everything. So now I'm taken care of, but my path hasn't been straight. I've seen a lot of adversity. I've had a lot of doubts, but right here, right now, I'm in a better position than a lot of people, and I've got to be grateful for that. But it's happened through following my heart, and so. But like I said, man, we all have a responsibility to give back to life. No matter who you are, what God's given you, you have to give back. You have a sense of responsibility to give back to life. Or if not, there's Judgment Day, and that's what Judgment Day is, man. You've been given certain gifts and talents. You have to use it, and sometimes following your heart, taking risks, is actually not a tip or advice. It's a responsibility for young men. You have to do the thing your heart is asking you to do, because that's God. Simple.
Most definitely, that's very elaborately put. So now we have a period where, let's say, for a lot of people, it's unprecedented. They'll be told to stay inside their homes, and effectively, it's a chance for inward strength. It's a chance for inward change. Now, I know for myself, this has come at the perfect time. I need this time alone. I've been craving it for a while and it's come. But what about those other individuals? How can they benefit from it? Because it's going to be very new for a lot of people.
Mm,
Yes, me and you have gone through periods of solitude. You probably more than me,
mm,
and it's helped us, and it's also been painful. Yeah, but what about these people who have never experienced this before? Because this is going to be very difficult for a lot of people.
mm. Uh, I think human beings are quite resilient though, and like I think being flexible and open-minded, bro, like that's the only quality that we have, right? And we can thrive under these conditions. Like it was only yesterday we were talking about how are we going to do it, and today we've had a change. You've had a change of heart that you're ready for this, and so God will guide and help, and you've just got to. You got to suffer though, you're right. You have to suffer in life like that. You
Yeah.
have to suffer a bit, and like only within the suffering and adversity is meaning and purpose found. And you've got, if you're a young man watching this and you're scared or fearful of this pandemic, I'm telling you now, that you have, as a man, you must be prepared for adversity. You must be prepared for, sounds cheesy, but war, and you must be
Yes.
prepared to battle. This is what our ancestors did. Like
Hmm.
we live a very easy life, and nothing's even happening. All we've been told is to stay inside, and we've got so much luxuries, man. Just don't waste your time. Don't watch too much TV. Read some books, man. Be productive. Go after some goals that you've been wanting to achieve for a while, man.
Mm. It does really make the most of your time because this time has never been given to us in such a large space and it will go. I know people are saying this is going to last for 18 months, 2 years, whatever. But trust me, time flies. Time flies. And before you know it, it'll be over. And guess what? Those who will be standing with their arms firmly above their head are those that made the most of this time. They did something financially, business wise, physically, spiritually, whatever. I don't care. But it's something that they made a change and it's something they did for themselves. And I also find it interesting how myself and your views have changed over the course of 24 hours. I mean, if you remember yesterday, we were sitting on the wall in the middle of Birmingham on a busy street, which was actually quiet. And we were just talking like, what have they got in store? Like, fuck, they've done it. They've done it. They've got what they wanted. And it's like both of us have gone away and we've kind of, we see it in a different light now. I mean, for myself, today's been amazing. I've had the best day of my life for a long time. I kind of feel like this is a great opportunity rather than what I was thinking before, which was this is like a new world order. So, I mean, what's this negative view? Is the negative view valid, or is it just simply a case of when we think negatively, we see negatively?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, for all we know, it could be valid. Like, this could be a man-made disaster. It could be some agenda. It could be all the things we mentioned yesterday. But what is faith? But faith in the unknown and faith and hope in something good. And like I said, my heart's telling me that it is not no man-made agenda. This is affecting the whole world, and this is quite unprecedented, man. This is
Mm,
very special. This is something unique. This is something above humans' hands. How much things are above human hands? Is there any human that's making your heart beat? Is there any human that there's miracles all around us that humans aren't controlling, and it's not crazy to think that this virus has a divine purpose, a divine
mm,
uh, reason to be here. But yes, going back to the question, it could be a man-made, but even still, there's karma, there's universal law protecting humanity at all costs and at all times. So just all you can do in these times is just to focus on yourself, focus on your family, focus on your loved ones, and if you're quite a saint, then focus on your community.
yeah, literally. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, no, literally. Like I said, it's a time where life is never going to be the same again. As scary as it sounds, that's also a beautiful thing because obviously the way we were living before this was good in certain senses. I mean, I used to love going to the club and going to the bar for a nice cheeky drink on a Friday night, but it looks like that's all stopped for now, and we're forced to go another way. And really, to be honest, the more I look into it, the more spiritual and divine it seems. The more spirit. I mean, look, we're not being told to go and work for free and mine fields and slavery. We're told to stay at home. And if home is done in the right way, which means turn off that fucking television, then we can actually really get rid of those patterns that have hindered us and sort out all our own internal nonsense and really fix ourselves up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you just reminded me of something. I just read a post from Elliot Hulse. Shout out to Elliot Hulse, a wise mentor of mine. Like,
Big guy.
big shout out, big respect to Elliot Hulse. And he
Big
just
respect.
saying the post at how he's not watching the news, and then he was like, "Wow, people are going to say to me, am I just digging my head in the sand? Am I going to be very uninformed about this coronavirus?" And he says, "No." He said, I forgot entirely what he said, but his point was that when he watches the news, he gets charged up, and then he ejaculates onto people. He has to wind it on people. Oh, look what's happening! This, and he says that instead of creating, he's just consuming and like spewing out nonsense.
Mm.
And I think, yeah, I think somehow I should quote that here because I'm not quoting it correctly.
I'll
But
put it on there. I'll put it on
yeah,
there,
like,
definitely.
I mean, Elliot Hulse has got a nice view on it. That television is just consuming, and we're just watching Boris Johnson saying this, saying that. All well and good, man. But you have a unique purpose here. God's put you here for a reason. You have a mission, and your mission isn't just to wake up and look at the latest news on coronavirus, man. That's maybe a small aspect of it, and yeah. So, and that's the message itself as well.
I mean, what goes in must come out. I mean, regarding whatever we're consuming, and this is a society which is consuming on a mass level. Even during this quarantine, we're very consuming on social media and online. We're just taking it in, taking it in, taking it in. And what I've learned in myself when I was doing that, I think it's the default thing to do in this society. You do it naturally without, if you don't catch yourself, is when you do that, like you said, what Elliot said, you then spew out what you've learned. I remember having a conversation with you around a couple of weeks ago about the coronavirus, and I was literally spewing out every single thing I heard of the news. Okay, granted, I was a bit high. However, I was literally spewing out every single thing the news told me. And when I've stepped away from it, I kind of realised that there is consuming and there is producing. And
Mm,
if you do not produce, you will be consumed. And then you
true,
will spew out that. So you will, in essence, become a product of your society.
true, man. Like, it's time to produce, man. It's time to produce. It's time to produce for me. Like, I'm done with just going inwards. It's time to give back, man. And like before this whole coronavirus stuff, man, I was literally about to set up my own business, and look, God cracked me down just before it happened, man. And like everything's in God's hands, man. Like it's crazy. Life can change from a moment to a moment, man. It's quite humbling. It's humbling, honestly humbling.
You're mentioning God quite a lot today, and you have quite a lot recently. Who is, and what is God to you?
Yeah, can't answer that question. I mean, God is unknowable, and God is above human words. But I think that does not mean I'm not talking about not investigating God. You have to invest. He who knows himself knows God. That's
Mm,
and some of the most greatest thinkers in the West and the East believed in God. Because every effect has a cause, and the cause of that cause is God. And so, no matter how, you know, sometimes I believe that people that don't believe in a God just haven't exhausted their thinking. That's quite an arrogant view because there are a lot of great thinkers that don't believe in God. But let's just stick to that. Let's just stick to that for now. It's a deep topic. But if you don't believe in God, man, then you might believe in the universe. You might believe in that, and that's the same thing I'm possibly talking about. But yeah, I'm still new to religion. Like my fervor for religion is like this fan that's starting is very new, so I need to dig back into religious books, and I'm excited for my journey now and to learn and because religion is sacred, man. Like I went on holiday to Pakistan, yeah.
mm.
Um, and look, I didn't go with a religious lens. I didn't go there as some, but I went there as like I said, I went away from religion, but I went to Pakistan and I've come back, man. And I tell you something, the people of Pakistan have amazing values, and there's something heartwarming about that. And where do those values come from? I'm telling you, it comes from religion. And
Mm.
to get to the grassroots of religion, it teaches something very beautiful. Humility. Let's go to humility because that's another thing. When I'm on religion, I wouldn't say forced. That's not the right word. That feels like I'm being told what to do. But humility is something that I'm adorned with. And when I'm out of religion, I have a big ego, and I think when you have an ego in your own head, you're some hero. But I tell you, people with insight are looking at you like a right fool because humility is
Mm.
before the gods, man. And humility is something that. But you know, also something I learned today. Humility isn't something what we see. Humility is different for every station you occupy in life. Humility seems different for every single person. You know, God has created some kings in life. You know, and kings, the way kings display humility would be different to a servant. So, but nevertheless, humility must be adorned with. You must adorn your souls with humility.
Yes, and I feel like take for example Conor McGregor.
Mm.
An individual in life will really be on the ego train and be on that thinking they're the best, and they'll get so far. They will get far. The Conor McGregor got really far, but what will often happen is that life will really put you on your ass after that. And then once you're on your ass, it'll kick you as well. That's what happens. It's happened to me. Probably happened to you multiple times. And it kind of feels like it's always trying to return us back to this equilibrium, which is humility, which is love, which is compassion, which are all of these spiritual traits, which in essence provide others with the tools that they need, but also provide us with that, internal feeling of contentment and happiness.
Mm. It's true, man. Like I said before, pop up, but you know what you see in the world is only who you are. But I genuinely do believe that in the West, in the UK, 18 to 25-year-old men, young men, with very individualistic, very egotistical, and lack religious virtues, man. And
Yeah.
it's like literally coming back from Pakistan to the UK and just seeing things just hasn't like been sitting well with my heart, man. Like, I just see things and I cringe a bit because
What do you mean?
like, not everyone's perfect in Pakistan. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is there's beauty in religious virtues and values, man, such as humility being one, dignity being one, respect for elders, love, helping others. Like Pakistan's a poverty-stricken country, so people are there naturally forced to help each other. Look at this pandemic in the UK. Look at how people are talking about helping the elderly and stuff. And these are some of the things that I think if this pandemic is from God, that these are the values it's trying to instill in us, man. This
Mm,
caring about other people. Like let's think for others, man. Let's not just think about ourselves.
literally, these things should already be there in a proper society, but it's taken a pandemic to kind of induce them to come out. And I've noticed that about Pakistan as well. From when I went a long time ago, there's a lot more love in Pakistan. We call it pyar, yeah. Like there's more love, yeah. There's more love. There's more. Everyone's like got each other's backs. And you come to England, and even many people who've come from Pakistan, relatives, and so come to England. It's almost like a complete different world here compared to there. It's like every man for himself. And you can see that by the pandemic, what it's caused. You see people fighting over toilet roll in the supermarket. And when the chips are down, these people who supposedly love each other, they will fight their neighbour for that last piece of tissue roll. They'll fight their
Mm,
neighbour. It's a
mm,
dog eat dog world out there. But
mm.
I don't think that's a natural way us humans are designed to be.
Yeah, man. Definitely, you're definitely right there. But you know, like also, like I don't want to like say the West and the UK is like completely filthy. The way this country's been built and like NHS services, taxes, this whole economical system is beautiful. And
Mm.
there's a lot of intelligence that's gone into it, and like compare that to Pakistan, how there's a lot of dirty air. So there's pros and cons of both countries, and I was just talking about the pros of Pakistan. But going on to your point about how a society should be built, we should already have these values. Definitely, spirituality should be inherent within us. We should be distilling. We should be instilling these virtues into our children and society, and maybe this pandemic will force us to do that. I know that the Baha'is and the Baha'i faith really has a vision of a peaceful new world, and you know, they've been saying for the last year that there's a calamity that's about to come, and it's going to force people into helping each other, and it's a very interesting view they have, and
Mm. So
yeah,
what have they said? So they said that there's a calamity that will be coming soon.
like um, yeah, I mean, I don't really see myself as a Baha'i, but the Baha'is they they have a really interesting view on this. They have a really interesting view on reality and where we are in our current time, and they believe that humanity is basically taking a new direction, and God will be intervening if humanity doesn't take charge. And basically, what we've been talking about if this is a God-given calamity and it's here to instill new values, that's just right up the alley of Baha'is. That's what they're trying to say. They're saying that we need to take care of our communities and life, and it starts at the grassroots level. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested to look more into that. I mean, I read the latest letter from the Universal House of Justice. Beautiful. Got to give respect to them, and they really care about humanity. They're telling the Baha'is not to push the message, not to convert people, but to go out there and help your communities whatever way you can. I know that it's self-isolation, so I've got to give respect to that, man. How can I not respect that? I have to respect that.
So how are you planning, going back to COVID and all that, how are you planning to spend these next 12 weeks? And probably for me, for you, from my perception of you, it'll probably be business as usual because there's not something drastically different for you. But correct me if I'm wrong. But how are you going to be spending these 12 weeks, if it even is that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not obviously planning on like how I'm gonna do, but like right now, I'm really excited to go. I haven't look. I spent so much of my years reading, yeah, and for the last I don't know how long, 8 9 months, yeah. I don't know if it's been 8 9 months, but it's been a lot of time. Like I just haven't had the passion to read. I've been sick at people. I've been sick of books. I just don't want to read anymore. And like lately,
Yeah.
I've had a burning desire to read, and you know. Like for instance, I've been reading Imam al-Ghazali today, and like his books to buy are like hundreds of pounds, but you can find. I mean, I read The Alchemy of Happiness.
Oh yeah, I've had a bit of that. It's a beautiful that is. Where that last one's on, yeah.
I'm going to be reading, spending time with family, and spending time with you, man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it might have to be interactive, but we'll find a way to meet up. I mean,
Oh yeah, no, lockdown now. It's sorry, announcement. If your friend asks to meet you, say no. So Jay, no, I'm not coming.
no, but if they ask me where am I going, I'm just going to exercise. Why are you going to Birmingham to exercise? I don't know. Shall I turn around? Nah, but it'll be funny by the lockdown. You know what? I suppose you just got to. To be honest, I'm not so rebellious against it now. Talk to me a week ago. I'll be like, fuck the system. I don't care. I'll go to prison. I don't care. But you know, it's a spiritual thing. I think we should always respect the laws of the country we live in. We do live in these laws of this country. So for now, that's my view. For now, I do stress. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. To be honest, it's unprecedented. It never happened before. Like, those of you jokers at home who wanted a 3-day weekend, a 4-day weekend, or you got a 12-week weekend now. Let's see what you're gonna do. And no beers, except at home, innit? No
It's
beers.
beers, man.
Do you know what I'm saying, bro? So yeah, so we've been on here for about half an hour. I do ask you if you can pledge to coming on again, and let's not leave it 6 months this time. Yeah, I want to get you on again because your transformations and your changes are very actually probably inspire a lot of people more than people criticize you. So, I mean, give a last message for everyone watching, and I want it to be setting that will ring true to yours and their hearts and
Yeah,
mine.
man. You were ending on saying that these are unprecedented times, and I want to end on that note that these are definitely unprecedented times. I mean, I went on Twitter today and like I feel like I keep talking about religion, man. Why am I doing that? But like it was the what do you call them? The Qadianis, the sect of Islam that believe that the promised one's come, and they were like going crazy, like the promised one's here, Mirza Ghulam Ahmed, the promised one's here, and the truth the truth will now come out. Whatever's happening in the world, whatever you believe, it's going to be put to the test. Do you believe Jesus is coming from a cloud? Well, we'll see. So truth will be revealed. Do you believe that the government's after you? Do you believe that aliens are coming? Well, we'll see. So we're in unprecedented times, and it's time to put your heart to the test, man. It's time to put your beliefs to the test, because everyone right now is being tested, and gold will come out of this testing for sure, but many may wither and die too, man. But I'm just looking to inspire and be inspired, and it's been nice to be here, man. Thank you for giving me the platform to talk, man, and I will come back, hopefully, inshallah, man. God will.
Inshallah, inshallah. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on, Yousef. You take care, and I don't know when I'm going to see you again in person, but hopefully I'll see you on camera. We're gonna have to have a Skype call normally now because we can't actually see each other, which is quite emotional, but we'll leave it at that. But God bless, take care, and we'll see you soon.